Today on the show, we're going to be talking about the history of Miss Martian. If you didn't know that she eventually turns evil, then this show is for you. Three things before we get started. Number one, yes, this is a new hairstyle. You don't need to tell me in the comments. I did notice. Number two, yes, this is a remake of a previously made video. This version is going to go in a bit more detail and cover the finer points of this character. And number three, this is not a history video about Miss Martian from the Young Justice cartoon. This is a history video about Miss Martian from the DC comic book universe. While the two characters do share the same name, by all means of practice, they are totally different people, right down to their personalities. I would say still stick around, especially if you want to get into comics, because you could learn something new. This character is absolutely brilliant in the comics anyway. So Megan Moores, she would first appear in Teen Titans Volume 3, number 37 in 2006. Megan Moores would first join the Titans in the year between Infinite Crisis and 1 year later. It's also around this time that she simplified her name for Earth and started going by Megan. She is originally from Mars, but her parents sent her in a rocket to the Vega star system to get her away from the war that was going on between the White Martians and the Green Martians. But while in the star system, she eventually heard about Martian Manhunter on Earth. We don't know how long it took her to get to Earth, but she eventually arrived there and became a hero in her own right. At first, Megan would join the Titans, but she really didn't fit in with the team, and no one really understood her, and she was ridiculed by Ravager quite a bit. So she eventually left the team and went to Australia to become a hero there. It's then when Bombshell turned around and said that Megan was a traitor to the Titans, so the Titans had to go after Megan, but it turned out that Bombshell was going to turn on the Titans all along, and Megan finally proved her worth to the Titans by defeating Bombshell. Shortly after this, Megan has to accompany Cyborg to Belle Reve to interrogate Bombshell and find out why she did what she did. And it's here that Megan finds out about the existence of Deathstroke's Titans East. It's then when the Titans East come along and the Titans East fight each other, and Megan has to fight Sun Girl. But Martians are weak against fire. It also turns out that in the future, all Martians are slaves thanks to something that Megan is going to do. We do not know what, but Megan is apparently Sun Girl's personal slave. Megan eventually dives into the ocean and hits Sun Girl with a massive amount of water, effectively temporarily depowering her. Round the corner from this, there was an event called Amazon Attack. Now, in this event, most of the Titans spent their time trying to calm down Cassie, but Megan would end up fighting Supergirl, who was a really good friend of Cassie's. And this fight is possibly the best fight I have ever seen in comics. People really do not give this fight its credit, and when I point this out to people, they really go, oh yeah. It re-established the power limit on Kryptonians and really showed that, yeah, Kryptonians are powerful, but there are people out there that are equally powerful to them. Martians are just as powerful as Kryptonians, and Martians, their planet is literally round the corner from ours. In this fight, Supergirl punches Megan, and Megan turns around with this distorted face, and she's like, I'm not to be taken lightly, Kryptonian. It is the best fight I have ever seen in comics because I was on the edge of my seat the whole way through it, and that is rare for me in fight scenes. Later on, the Titans' evil future selves would re-emerge. They are called the Titans of Tomorrow, and they apparently had Megan as a member by this point. Megan had now embraced her white Martian heritage and now used the mantle Martian Manhunter, which implies that she killed the original Martian Manhunter. Megan would behead her future self, but her future self's mind would go into her past self's body, meaning Megan now had two minds in one body, one of her future self and one of her present self. It's a bit confusing, but it makes sense if you really think about it. Later on, Megan is attacked by Disruptor of the Terror Titans, and he actually comes close to separating Megan from her future self. But before this could happen, Megan is captured and put into a tiny room with Kid Devil, who has been brainwashed into being totally savage. Megan tries to cure him with her own telepathy, but this wouldn't work. Turns out the Apocalyptian Granny Goodness had found a way to stop Megan's telepathy from working. Megan and Kid Devil would eventually escape with their minds intact, and Megan would imply that she can now suppress her future self's consciousness. The future self is still present in Megan's mind and can still communicate with her, but it can't take control of her anymore, which is a very important thing. You don't want your future evil self controlling your past good self's body. But she eventually gradually loses control to her future self yet again. She begins to do things like walk around with white skin without realizing it. So she makes the decision to leave the Titans. But before she leaves, she tells Kid Devil that she is going to miss him the most. And Kid Devil thinks that she is comparing him to the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, which is totally adorable and a reference that I was really surprised to see in the Titans. In the final issue of the Terror Titans, it is revealed that Megan is actually the Star-Spangled Kid, and she'd been using her Martian physiology to be immune to the Clock King's brainwashing techniques. Over time, she was slowly able to free all the other metahumans from brainwashing, so they wouldn't have to fight each other anymore. After Final Crisis, the Titans would try to recruit more members, fail, so Megan would rejoin the team and she would bring along Aquagirl and Static. There will be this really weird period that would go on where Megan just seems to be shat on by every single Titan storyline. She just constantly gets attacked or kidnapped until eventually Jay Garrick approaches her for help. Jay Garrick wants her to mentally interrogate Prometheus, but when Megan starts to do this, she is knocked unconscious because Prometheus has a mental block security system kind of thing, so she would be put into a coma and Martian Manhunter would have to finish the job. Later on, in another fight, Megan will be knocked unconscious yet again, and upon waking up, she realizes that she has unleashed a mental attack on Raven, and this allowed Raven to be captured by Wild. From here, Megan would work with the Justice League, be set for failure, continue to work with the Titans, be set for failure, move to Australia and be attacked by a female Green Martian to the point that she was nearly dead, and then she would fall under the mental control of a psychic named Alexander. So Megan is used as bait to lure Supergirl into a trap and to brainwash Robin and Blue Beetle, but rather than doing this, she actually uses her abilities to tell Robin, Blue Beetle and Supergirl about a plan she has through mental communication. When the right moment came along, Megan force-fed Alexander's mental control back to him, and this would allow Supergirl to beat him up and save the day. Then she'll be present in the final battle against Superboy Prime, where she finally is able to defeat Sun Girl with the help of Solstice, and after this, the New 52. In the New 52, Megan is somewhere. There was a picture of her right at the beginning of the New 52, I think in Teen Titans issue number 1. Other than that, we haven't seen her, heard from her, she hasn't interacted with anyone, so we don't know what she's up to, but she's somewhere on Earth. So a big thing that I want to see from Marvel and DC over the next couple of years are superhero stories set outside of America. While I think America is an amazing country, we've had so many superhero stories in that culture. I want to see superhero stories in my own culture, and I think Miss Martian would be an amazing hero to have superhero stories in Australia. She seems to really like Australia anyway. I feel like if Megan were to appear in the New 52, she'd have to either have her own book or be a member of a team like the Outsiders. I don't think she would work in the New 52's Teen Titans at all. I really like the idea of Australia having their own hero and it being a Martian, just because Australia's a bit weird anyway, so it makes sense that it'll be an alien that is their national hero, and also, Megan said it herself, Australia reminds her of Mars, so it makes sense that their hero would be some form of Martian. It makes sense that every country would have their own set of heroes because crime happens everywhere, which means supervillains would be everywhere in a comic book world, which would mean every country has to have their own set of heroes for protection. And I just want to see Miss Martian in Australia, and I would follow that series very closely.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. So leave a comment down below letting me know if I forgot anything majorly important about Miss Martian. And also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon so I can make bigger and better and more history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.